Welcome to the first episode of Lonely Freedom. This video is about all the preparation I did before my big trip. At the moment, I'm staying at a friend's house in the greatest state ever, Minnesota. Here I am relaxing in the warm, inviting November weather. For those of you who are not from around here, Minnesota is in the northern part of the United States. Life up here is pretty simple, but we're all really friendly and neighborly. Despite what many Americans believe, we're just like the rest of you. There are many traditional things we enjoy, such as a good hot dish and the occasional pronto pup. The real Minnesotans like whiskey, single malt, no ice. I personally like pipe tobacco, but I think I'm a few decades too late. It doesn't seem to be very popular. The winters in Minnesota can be long and harsh, but that doesn't mean we can't find time to grow things. Guess it was frozen. Anyway, enough about Minnesota. Let me tell you about all the stuff I did to get ready. September 2014. I quit my job. I didn't really regret where I worked or what my job was. I learned an awful lot and it helped me through a lot of difficult times financially. The reason I quit was, well, let's just say the longer I worked there, the less passion I had for things I used to like, and I was feeling more and more like a drone every day. It was time to do something different, something for me. Because of the nature of my job, I learned very quickly how to deal with unexpected situations, and I learned that life really is something that can change in a moment, for good or bad. That coupled with what I learned from traveling, that's not so scary not having very much money. That hard work and passion for what you do can really make up for a lot of things that are lacking in your life, material or otherwise. So I decided to start a new life, but first, I wanted to try the one thing that I've always dreamt of doing. Do a huge worldwide trip, uninterrupted. So just before I quit, I sold the majority of all my stuff. I would have to say about 80%. I had a garage sale and let people walk through my house, point at something, and I would quote them a price. I don't even have a couch or a bed. One thing that I always thought about on my trips was, how is my stuff doing back home? Is my house okay? I didn't want any kind of distractions. When this was done, I quit my job. Good decision or bad decision? Only time would tell. One thing I am certain of, though, it was my decision. On the day that I die, I don't want to look back and be disappointed that I didn't have the courage to walk my own path. So I flew back home, and now I'm staying with a friend while I get all my stuff together. I'm sure he's getting a little tired of me, but I'm leaving this Friday for China, so he doesn't have too much more to worry about. So around mid-October, I sent in for my Chinese visa. It was the first one I ever applied for. Even though I've done a lot of traveling, all the countries I've been to never required one if you're a citizen of the United States. It was a long and expensive process. The Chinese embassy does not allow you to send in by mail to get your visa. You have to do it in person or have someone do it for you in person. This requires a third party if you don't live near any of the embassies, like me. I was able to get a visa for 90 days, which I hear is hard to do, so I'm pretty happy with the result. The only thing, though, is about 2 days after I got it, I heard on the news that China is now making them valid for 10 years or more. Mine is only valid for a year, but I shouldn't need much more than that. So the next step, now that I knew where I was going, was to get equipment. Having no audio or visual experience besides what I had in high school, it was more guesswork than I would have liked. On a side note, what is that guy doing? So here's my Canon 60D. It's a very reliable camera, and I bought it mostly because I had an HD viewer, I was getting really tired of taking pictures and then finding out that they were blurry or I didn't have enough lighting or whatever. The lens I have on there right now is an 18 to 135, and I also have a 10 to 22. I have a 90 to 300, but I find that it takes up a lot of room and I never use it. By the way, just in case you're wondering, this is being filmed on a Canon HF G20. I was trying to look for a camera that was semi-high-end but also affordable in case it got stolen. I'm pretty happy with what I got. It's definitely not anything that's super cheap, but at the same time, I'm not carrying around a big brick. So the next item is my journal. This is because I forget an awful lot of things. Places that I've been to, people I've met, no offense. Also, I forget a lot of important details that I want to recall later, like for the blog. So, this is something I can look back to and fill any gaps that I might have. This journal I'm going to use differently than I usually do, and that is to track my spending. Typically, I just keep a general tally in my head, but I think some people will be pretty interested in exactly how much I spend. So this is my GoPro. It's got a blackout screen on it so I can record without being noticed. It has pretty good recording capabilities, but I got it so I can record in places where people might not want to see a big camera, like restaurants. I'm pretty happy, but I think it's a little bigger than I expected when I first purchased it. So the next item are my headphones. It may not seem like much, but they are Sony noise cancelling headphones. And when you put them next to something that repeats a lot, like an engine, you can barely hear it. I love taking these things on planes, and they last a really long time. I think I can get about 6 hours on a battery, and I can just fall asleep. Sometimes I don't even listen to music, and I just have them on. But the biggest reason I have them is for editing. There's a lot of little noises I can't catch with just regular computer speakers. That's where these bad boys come in. Next is the computer itself. It's a MacBook Air, and I don't really like it, but that's mostly because my preference towards Apple. I got it mostly because it's thin and it's supposed to be really good for video processing. I think it is. I have never had it slow down, and I'm actually happy with that fact. It's just for everything else. I don't know. I guess I just can't get used to it. One thing that it definitely does lack, though, is storage space. I think this one has 110 or 120 gigs, so I had to buy that hard drive that you can see over in the corner. That's 2 terabytes, and pretty much I have to edit something and then quickly move it over before I do anything else, or else it's just going to be completely full. You can also see my cell phone right next to it. It's a Galaxy S5 or 5S, I don't know. I'm pretty new to smartphones, and I mostly got it because T-Mobile said that they provide data in 120 countries. I'll keep you guys updated on that because I'm really curious to see just how accurate that statement is. Medicine. I went to the doctor to see if I could get some. I'm not sick or anything, but there are some countries that are red on the CDC's malaria list. So I got some malaria medicine and some medicine for emergency stomach problems, which is what you see there. Tripods and bungees. Tripod's obviously for the camera. This one is a super light one, and it also turns into a monopod and has 2 of those bubble levely deals with quick releases for the camera itself. Pretty awesome. Next to it is a bungee cord. I never leave without it. I can always find a use for that, no matter what. I would suggest you guys bring something like that too. You never know what you're going to need, but it's a lightweight, easy fix. It's kind of like duct tape. You can always just strap it to your bag and forget about it if you don't really want it. I know in my packing video I said don't bring things that you can be without. Well, I can't really be without a guitar. I'm not very good, but I do enjoy playing. So I found this thing. It's really teeny. It's like 2 feet by 6 inches or something like that. The metal thing on the side detaches, make it even smaller. I think it was a good purchase, but I'll see if I regret it or not. This solar panel by Goal Zero was really cool, but I decided not to bring it. I couldn't imagine when I was going to use it except for the 1 or 2 times that I had planned maybe camping. But this other thing here is a backup power supply. It's really cool. Think I got to charge my computer, my iPad, my iPod, and 2 camcorder batteries off of one charge. You can just plug it into the wall or the solar panel, but I really didn't want to have to lug around that inverter that's attached to it. It's pretty cool because you can plug in anything that goes into a wall, but that's extra weight. Some of you may be wondering why I have a backup power supply or were thinking about getting a solar panel. It's for all this equipment. Everything's super power hungry, from cameras to computers to microphones. The passport. Need this to get out of the country and go to other countries. Though remember, that's not the only requirement. Some countries require visas as well. The white thing next to it is a Nook. It's an e-reader that is pretty new to me. I used to use a Sony, but they kind of went bottom up as far as ebooks. I kind of like this though. It's smaller than the one that I had before, a little lighter. Plus, you really can't beat having hundreds of books on a little square they can bring with you wherever. I used to bring books, like actual books, with me. That is something you definitely don't want to do. Very heavy. Alright, for the main item of the day, the backpack. This is without a doubt the most important thing that you're going to carry. Not just because it holds everything else, but because if you don't buy something that has like good quality buckles or clips, you're going to be really sorry. Plus, if you get something that's too small, you're going to have problems. And don't forget, something too big can also give you just as many problems. This one I've had for quite a long time. I think it's a Gregory. Yep, Gregory Denali. And I spent about $500 on it. Never regretted it. It may seem like it's really expensive, but depending on how long your trip is, it's a worthy investment. You have to think of it like a home. Everything you own is going to be in this, and you don't want your house to spring a leak. The coat next to it is something that is also new. I needed something that was really warm and that was 2 pieces. So I got this coat from Columbia. I'll let you know how well it does. It has this Omni Heat thing on the inside. I was a bit skeptical, but so far it works here in Minnesota. It was recommended to me by a few friends that said that it's really worth the price. I also got it because it's a 2-piece coat. I like most of my clothing to be dual purpose, so that was a big selling point for me. Okay, emergency supplies. This is an emergency blanket, and I really like it. It's small, fits in your pocket, and it's great for emergencies. They rip kind of easy, but they're really one use only. I carry one with me at all times because I never know when I'm going to go someplace really cold. Even if you're not going someplace really cold, if you're out in the elements for too long, there's plenty of things that can happen to you. So this is always something that's in my bag. First aid kit. It's pretty big, bigger than what most people have, but I'm kind of paranoid about this kind of stuff. I've been into some scrapes with some other people, and really happy that I had it the first time. Ever since, I've always carried one about this size with me. Last item, malaria pills. Look at these things. I know I mentioned them before when I showed my other medication, but I kind of want this to be a surprise. These are the 1-a-day pills, and wow, just look at all that. While recording, a winter storm blew in, very much like Minnesota. So, most of my preparation had to be put on hold, but I got some good shots of the surrounding area. I don't know about everyone else, but I really like snow in the cold. Just look how peaceful it is. You don't really get that with summer. As you can see, this is a really terrible neighborhood. I mean, ducks might quack at you. Neighbors might come over and ask you out for a beer. Just awful. While filming all this, I even had some kids wave and smile at me. They look like they're having fun sledding, and I really wanted to take some photos of it, but when you're around kids with a camera, you're pretty much going to get arrested. I really hate that. I don't have kids, so maybe I don't understand, but I think people really need to lighten up on that. Now this is a guy that is not embarrassed with the camera. He does whatever he wants. The next phase of my preparation is spending time with friends and family. I think this is really important before you go. You never know what's going to happen.
Hey Logan, say it to the camera.
And sometimes when things get rough and you have to overcome challenges, things like this really kind of get you through. Don't worry, I'm almost done. The last thing I'm doing to prepare is diet. And this isn't like a lose the weight diet, but I find that if I go in with the same diet that I usually have in America, I have a lot of problems in the country I go to. I have 3 general rules. Do not eat until you're hungry. I love to eat, so this one is the hardest for me. Stop eating when you're satisfied. When you're full, it's too late. It's also a tough one. No processed foods. Usually if you eat this way for a while, I don't even feel like having fast food. Like your body just understands that it wasn't good for you in the first place. Eat anything you want as long as you follow the top 3 rules. I find your body knows exactly what it needs. You just have to listen to it. And that's my biggest problem. So why am I showing you all these foods that break the rules? Well, I like to gorge for a day before I start. Does it make it any better that I believe eating 12 tacos is a sign of good luck? No? Oh well. Well, that's all I got. In 3 days, I'll be in China. The next episode may be delayed because China has banned YouTube. So, as long as I can get access to some of my resources, hopefully I'll have it out. Just check the website. It may not be on YouTube until I get into a YouTube-friendly country. Anyway, thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe at the website.